I'm Pastor George Borkart, and this is another Higher Things video short. A word about youth to parents and pastors. That's the subject of today's Higher Things video short. Hey, if you love our videos, if you are learning about your Christian faith from places you never expected to learn about your faith from, Missouri Synod Lutheran pastor and a sleeping Jack Russell Terrier, go ahead and like and subscribe today. You can also go to support.higherthings.org and give today. Your tax-deductible gift keeps Higher Things, a youth organization all about passing the faith to the next generation, keeps us rolling. About youth. We do what we do in Higher Things to pass on the faith to the next generation because we believe that this gospel that we have been entrusted, the forgiveness of sins achieved by Jesus on the cross and delivered to us in word, water, and in Jesus' body and blood, is such a rich gift that it must be passed on. But when we talk about our church's youth, and youth period, we need to understand something. So oftentimes we speak to the youth as if they're children still. We are tempted to water down the law and the gospel, to give them law because we want to sort of change their behavior, or maybe to pull back on the gospel, but basically to talk in theologically sort of weak and watered down terms. And to apply stuff that we think they need to hear rather than what they actually tell us they need to hear. But there's something to learn about today's youth that is really important. They're pretty sharp. He's cute. They do, 6th and 7th graders are doing algebra, geometry. They're learning about science and the like. They know things that we didn't learn till high school. They're a generation on their computers, titled iGen, and so they spend their lives online where they can get anything and know about anything, where everything is just a Wikipedia away. He missed that one. When we engage our youth, we need to engage them with meat. We need to challenge them with the scriptures. We need to read to them both the law, not just the law, but the law and the gospel, and engage them as adults and challenge them because they aren't dumb. They're really sharp and they can understand these things. We need to give them the pure gospel. We need to sort of invade their world with more than just morals that they can pick up from school, but something that we can give them in the church that they will never hear anywhere else. The forgiveness of sins. We need to treat them like adults until they give us a reason not to treat them that way. Let's try that a different way. Teach them like adults. Church them like adults until they give us a reason to do otherwise. And so it's what we've found is this generation, we didn't find this, sociologists said, is the first generation that is mostly unchurched. 51% of this generation, it declares themselves to be of no religion whatsoever. They are nuns. 49% of them claim to be religious, even Christian, in America. This means we need to even double down more on the gospel, because the only thing which is going to impact them is the truth of the gospel, that there was a Jesus who was born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, dead, and was buried, and on the third day he rose again from the dead, and that everything he did for them. And this Jesus isn't a past thing, but a present thing, because he comes to us in his word. We need to have Bible studies that are the word. We need to worship with them like they worship in church with us, and treat them as adults, because they're not children anymore. They're more like just a few steps from self-identifying as adults. And if we put good Christianity into them, good Christianity will come out of them. If we bring them up in the way of the Lord, not watering down the faith, not pulling back on the forgiveness of sins, scared that they're going to sin, they won't let us down. The Lord's words they won't depart from them. And when they sin, forgive them. Mercy on them. Because this is the generation that we're passing the faith on to. And they're going to run farther and faster than we ever ran. But for them to be resourced to do that, or enlivened, if we're going to talk about in the church, we need to challenge them with the gospel. Worship as we worship. Work, that is, teach them as we are taught. And then, because they're kids, let them play. But pizza is great. It's not the gospel. Everything is not just the sixth commandment. There's other commandments too. And those commandments kill them in sort of that we can make them alive. And we can let them play from time to time because it's okay. We've seen on this, at least on this channel, that when I'm sort of doing my rants, it's not just for me and adults, but the youth also learn too. They're engaged. They learn from the faith. They have questions and they challenge me. They send me texts to challenge me. That number is in the description. So, teach them the faith. Don't water it down. Give them Jesus. You'll be shocked, amazed. I'm amazed that they'll run faster and further than we ever expect them to run. After all, in the 1950s, that a little bit before my time, a 13-year-old was working and acting like an adult sometimes. We've pushed growing up back further. And I don't know if that's the best thing. I don't know if we did it for ourselves. I'd like to have my kids around too. And I don't care whether or not we push adulthood back, as long as we don't push teaching them as adults back too. Think about it. Challenge me and tell me what you think in the description. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this has been another Higher Things video short.